I'm back. Hey, I got something to say. First of all, I'm sorry I wasn't here last Thursday. I try to make sure no matter where I am that I go live with you. But I was at my heroic public speaking course, which I just graduated, which I met this young lady, Tammy, who's coming on, doing my done for you video. That's right, a done for you video. What a production. And it comes down to 4 minutes of you talking about your keynote that you're going to do. It was so much fun. I was there for 3 days. You got to be up on stage for 30 minutes, and then they did all this great production with you. Camera, it was just so amazing. And then you get to watch the other people, which is so cool. Like, you're the audience for them. You're supporting them. I had a blast. It's just so amazing to me when you can watch the transformation of people, of what, like I saw some of these people at the beginning, like starting back, I think last August, and where they came from there to now. Incredible, putting themselves out there. Tammy and I weren't there at the last one, which was boo, but that's okay because I get to see her now. Hi! I was just talking about you. How's it going, Tammy?
Good. How are you?
Good. I was talking about HPS because I screwed up, and I always post every Thursday, even if it's just with me. But I was in the middle of performing at my Done For You video, so.
Oh. Hard.
So, all right. Before we get into it, I want to hear everything, but I want to tell them a little about you. I mean, this is so little compared to your life, but. Tammy is a mindset and performance expert, love that, who specializes in the art of perseverance. As a retired lieutenant colonel and fighter pilot, so many questions, who has faced many challenges herself, she takes lessons learned from high performance cockpit and relates them to the challenges of life. As an entrepreneur, wife, mother of 3, that's right, she shares powerful, heartfelt stories of strength and grit. All right, Tammy, here's the deal. We're going to change it up a little bit. I usually do this for my recording, but I want to know if I was going to say to you, in the past 30 days, give me one word to describe how you felt. What word, you can pick any word, would you pick and why?
Oh, gosh. Okay.
Anything.
I'm going to say torn.
Ooh, I've never had that one. All right, torn. All right, tell us more, Tammy.
Well, recently I've had opportunities pop up and they seem really good. And I don't like but like most people, I don't like being between things or in transition. So I want to just make the decision, but I have to be patient because I'm a little bit torn with these different opportunities that are presenting themselves and which ones I should take and which ones I should not take, what's best for my family, what's best for me, and how to decide that. So there you go.
I'm going to say I love that you're getting these opportunities, and I can't wait to hear which ones you pick. But before we get back into that, I want to read your statement. I always say, what's the one statement you want to put out to the world for women or men that are listening? And this is a big one. We are all different in countless ways and are beautiful because of it. I love that. It is important that we know ourselves to truly share our gifts with the world. So before you came on, I reached out to my peeps and I asked them for questions and I gave them this stuff. And they want to know where, the biggest thing I got is, Sandy, we get that, but where do we start? How can we feel if we haven't felt that in so long? And many of the women, so you know, Tammy, that are coming to me, at one point, they're from around the world, have felt that way. Mm-hmm. And then they started approaching the age 35, 40, and 45. And don't know where they fit in, and are they still as beautiful and unique, and do they still have gifts to share with the world? Big one,
Yeah.
over and over.
Yeah. I think the biggest, for me, when it comes to answering that question, I think that society and how we view society has the biggest impact on us. And I'm talking about like mostly, the media when you think of society, and we look bigger. We're so connected to the entire world, which is amazing. But at the same time, it makes us sometimes feel less than. We kind of got to bring ourselves back to our own little bubble and our own little world and stop comparing ourselves to so many other things. We just can't
Mm.
be. And we see so many things, and you see what's put on pedestals, and if you will, and we kind of strive for that. I think all of us do, because we're just so exposed, instead of just pausing and recognizing that we're different. And I don't just mean physically. I mean, I'm talking about how do we define ourselves in our job? How do we define ourselves as a mother? How do we deal with stress? What do we enjoy? I'll give you an example. I just posted recently on LinkedIn about how for a couple of years I actually had an impact on my physical health, because I was somebody who's always, I'm a go. I go all the time. And I
Yeah.
mean, in high school, I got mono in my junior year. My mom said, you got to stop doing something. I'm like, nope, I'm going to keep doing this. And I look back, realized in probably my mid to late 20s that this is a life that I love. I like to be busy. So I'm just going to be busy. But then when I added motherhood to my life, I had a lot of people telling me, I don't know how you do it. How do you do it all? Aren't you stressed out? And I heard it so many times that it suddenly, like, I let it leak into my brain, and wondering if there's something wrong with me. Like, maybe
Mm.
am I not approaching this? Like, am I not dealing with these things? Am I hiding? And it actually caused anxiety for me, because I was trying to put the idea of the world, what rest was, on myself, going, okay, I'm not resting, I'm not sitting down. Like, to me, that was that. And that definition is different for everyone. If you need to sit on the couch and read daily for your like time to gather, then do it. I didn't realize it my time to like get myself together and keep myself going forward with all my energy actually took energy. It was working out, it was cooking, it was things like that. And so we have to define ourselves by what works for us. Yes, we can use society as a gauge to see, but when we go, I'm not that, then we start feeling less than, and that really bothers me.
I'm so glad you shared that, because you just reminded me of something that my son had said to me, and he's 19 now. My son and my husband are more introverted, like a lot more than me. And they need downtime, especially my son. He energizes by being in his room by himself, away from his friends, and then he comes back in. I'm the opposite. I come back from lots of people and I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And he said to me, Mom, why do you always have to be busy? And I start thinking, am I covering up something? Like, what's going on here? But guess what? I love that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not doing it because I'm not being productive if I'm busy. I enjoy having 50 million things at the same time. I like having a lot of pots, which on the other side of it doesn't mean you're not amazing. If, hey, I only can do one thing at a time, and that's me.
Yeah.
And it's so different for everybody. So I do think when some people look at others and go, oh my God, they did this, they did this, they did this, they did this. I've only did this one thing. It's really hard to combat, right?
Yeah. But each their own. Everyone is so different, and it's okay. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of people who I feel like sometimes they look at me and they do that. You've done all these things, but I've only, and I'm like, stop. Don't saying I just or I only.
Yeah.
You do, and you choose your time. And just because you're not accomplishing these things at this level that society sees as amazing doesn't mean you're not amazing. What kind of impact are you making in your elementary school? What kind of impact are you making when you walk through the line at the grocery store? That matters. And I mean, just like I've had people say, well, I'm just a this, and they give me their job description. And I'm like, just because you chose a different path doesn't mean it's any less important. Yeah, my fighter pilot title may be pretty cool, but it's just a job like everyone else. And it just happens to be put higher in the level of what society thinks in some people's books. But it doesn't matter. Everybody matters. It's not about the title or what society thinks. We got to just stop, we got to care about the people who do everything.
Yeah, yeah. Tammy, I'm so glad you're putting that out in the world, because that means a lot. There are a number of people that don't believe like you. Matter of fact, I was just at an event recently. I was the only female, and I was with lovely for their journey, all male medical doctors. Long story how I got there, not really sure, but they were, I don't know intentionally, but making others who didn't have that title not feel their place in the world. You could feel that from them.
Yeah.
And I felt really awkward until I'm like, okay, this ain't happening. And I used the example that I admire the person that goes to the grocery store and makes the whole store light up and smile. To me, that's amazing. That's amazing. You did something for your life. Yeah. So thank you for doing that. I know you think that many people do that, but they don't. They do make you feel like if you don't have that degree, or not a fighter pilot, that your place on the earth is not as unique. So it's going to have so much weight when you do that. So let's dive into the next question that I got from a lot of young ladies. What do you do every day? Do you have a routine that reminds you of how amazing you are? Or how worthy you are. Like they want to know, what do you do every day to keep in that headset?
Well, personally, I pray, and it keeps me humble, and it keeps me valued in my opinion. The other thing I do, and this is less specific as far as tangibility, I check the box and I do this, but I'm being a mindset person. I absolutely am very aware of my thoughts and what am I thinking about daily, because especially if something's on repeat, it can have a really negative effect. I had this conversation with, and maybe I'm taking this the wrong way, but just listen for a second, with my 8-year-old daughter. So
okay.
I like to take car time for conversations, and we all do, and maybe we say we do, but I really do it. Like, I don't go, oh my gosh, I got to drive another kid somewhere else. Because guess what? I signed the kid up for that. I own it. So I'm going to use it, value it. I'm not going to complain about it because I chose it. I signed up. I paid for it, right?
Good attitude.
I said, let's talk about, she was picking her up from gymnastics because she's on the team at gymnastics, and I was talking about perspective, and I said, how was conditioning today? And she said, it was kind of fun. And then she told me why. She said, we did this jumping thing, and I like that. And I said, that's good. You have a really good positive mindset, because conditioning is hard. It's like, oh, this sucks. And I talked about how we can impact our mindset every single day. Think about going through town and you hit 75% of all the lights, they're red. And I told her, I said, if at every stoplight I stop and I just start going, oh my gosh, it just figures, here I am sitting at the red light again, wasting time, all this negativity. When I said, control of this red light, she says, no. I said, okay, so what if every time I get to the red light, I take that as an opportunity to give myself a little peace and go, breathe. It's just time to do nothing. I'm doing absolutely nothing right now. How often do we get to do nothing? I'm just going to enjoy this moment. And if you do that all the way through town, what's the difference? And she's like, oh yeah, that would make a difference. So I'm trying to train her in this, but I think that mindset is huge, and making not only yourself feel valued, but to me, more helping others feel valued, because I think we need more of that reciprocation.
Yeah. Okay, so points on all of that. You made it relatable. You made it age relatable. And I'm thinking here, it's something so small that all of us could start today. every single one of us. Like little things like that to shift our mindset that aren't huge. Like I'm going from here, like I feel poverty to a millionaire. But little things like that to take the opportunity versus like, oh crap, I'm going to be late. Oh crap, I'm going to be late, over and over. And I'm not a road rager at all. But I don't think of that. And I'm going to think of that. The one thing I do say, and maybe you can help me here, is because I say or believe it. I say every single time I have good parking karma. And I always find the space out front. So everyone wants to go with me at Christmas and holidays because I say I have good parking karma. Now, that coincidence, or did I talk myself into it and now I got it?
No, you know what? I don't know how to define that, but I don't think it's coincidence. I really think that we can like manifest things.
Yeah.
I don't want to go woo-woo here because I can't really, there's certain things, like I said, I just don't quite understand, but I do believe that, if you think more positively, those things are going to happen. I mean, you'll be looking for it too, but so that's helpful that you look for, you're going to see more, which is why we need to look for good things, not bad things.
That's not woo-woo. That's good. We can go with that.
As a female in the fighter pilot community, people always ask me, were people sexist? Did they treat me differently? And my answer is that the truth is that probably, I mean, there are times I know for sure, but the bottom line is I didn't look for it. I wasn't there to prove anything. I was there to do my job and just have this opportunity to be a fighter pilot and serve my country. And if I had looked for it, I know I would have found it places it didn't exist, and I would have created more of it in my mind. So I just pretended, I didn't pretend it didn't exist. I just didn't look for it unless it was really obvious. Now I probably missed some opportunities to maybe say, hey, maybe you should knock that off. But for me at the time, it was the best way to just cope and fit in and prove at that point, women can do this and we can be part of this, and we're not going to rock the boat too much so that your world's totally different. We're capable, and that's what we did.
Yeah. Yeah, I can relate to that. I can relate to that. It was the same thing with me. Okay. Do you miss it?
I do. I'll be honest, when people say, what do you miss most about when you say flying specifically? I absolutely miss serving my country. I loved being part of that. But when it comes to flying, I miss formation. I miss flying 3 feet from another aircraft, reading how it's moving. It's such an intense thing. I mean, you're flying, up to, 600 miles an hour, going upside down, 3 feet away from each other. It's really, really intense, but it has this, so it's like dancing in the sky. So it's like trying to be, a really melded team. And I miss that.
So what did you do right afterwards? As soon as you decided you were going to retire, what was your next step?
Well, the story, actually, I won't belabor it, but my husband basically told me one time, he's like, I know what you're going to do when you retire. And I kind of giggled and said, yeah, right, what? And he said, motivational speaker. And I laughed and my stomach, I thought, you're insane. No, I'm not doing that. I don't want to be in the spotlight. I don't want to have attention on me. I'd rather be up on stage with a team than by myself ever. But that was a couple years before I retired. And what I noticed is that a lot of women just quietly go on their way and retire and don't talk about what they do, which, I get why they do it. We're humble. We don't need to go talk about that. But the problem is that there's, in my situation particularly, there's still very few of us, and there's a lot of power in seeing is believing. And so I thought, you know what, I'm actually doing a disservice to others by not sharing my stories, lessons learned, and wisdom I've gained over time. So it was a selfless motivation that's putting me up on stage in the spotlight to go into professional speaking, just to kind of share my message and what I've learned. Because the idea is, to me, if there is a forest and there's no path, I'm going to blaze my own trail. Somebody comes up behind me, I don't want to hide my trail and have them blaze some other one, but that's what's happening. The path is getting overgrown. So my plan is that by doing this is basically I'm taking a floodlight behind me and saying, hey, I've gone this far, come here easily, and then let's go further. Let you go way further than I ever went. So it's kind of the idea.
Well, Tammy, I'm glad that you decided to do keynote speaking because you're the kind of person that needs to be out there. Because I love when you say, you're doing it for, they always say you're not doing it for you, you're doing it for your audience, you're doing it to serve. You genuinely are coming from that mindset. I mean, I know at the instant I met you, I mean, it was just like, yeah, I love this girl. But I'm sitting here thinking, all the women across the world, many of them that wrote in, I mean, their accomplishments, Tammy, are off the roof. But because they're not today, they forget. They forget what they did. And then they think, I had this one woman say, I'm 45 years old. I've owned and sold companies. I want to do this, but maybe I should let somebody else do it. Like give them their turn. And she says she thought that for 6 months. And she's like, no, they can have their turn. I'm not taking anything away from anyone else. I want to shine my light, and I'm actually doing myself and them a disservice if I didn't. So she was actually asking me to say if you had the same similar circumstance, and I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because, I've retired at 40 from the Air Force, 41, 42, I can't remember exactly. It's pretty young. And I'm like, what am I going to do now?
Yeah.
I'm just a pilot. And that word right there, that just word, is a word that we need to be aware of in our language. And we need to stop saying it. I'm just, whether it's, I just threw together this casserole, or I just bought this at TJ Maxx, or I was just a pilot.
Big one.
We gotta stop. And I think about people look at me and they're like, well, there's so many other things you can do. And I see that as I look at other people from the outside. But when it's you, sometimes it's hard. It's like taking a book and reading it this close. You can't read anything, right? But the person talking to you is like, they can see it clearly because they're further away. And so you got to kind of take the advice of those around you and go, yeah, I can still contribute. I'm not just a pilot. I don't know. It's not just flying airplanes. There's more that I did than just that. So yeah, I definitely went through a struggle that said, I'm not done. I'm definitely not done. Especially, how can I take what I learned and use it in a different way? And I think I figured it out,
So you talk about personal core values, and you must know your own to set goals. They want to know, what are your personal core values?
So I have two things. So I have my core values, and I put it into a sentence. So the sentence is to create life-changing impact through authentic connection, thought, and action. Now I came to that sentence by finding 5 core values for me personally, which are connection, impact, authenticity, integrity, and wisdom. How on earth did I come to this? Because the reason I believe this is so important is because, especially women, I feel like I hear them say all the time, there's so many things I want to do. I want to say yes to everything, and I don't know how to say either. I don't know how to say no to things, or how do you pick? And for me, finding my core values allowed me to filter and go, yes, that falls within my core values. I'm going to do that. Or no, I'm sorry, that doesn't fall into my core values. And I use this book right here, Black Sheep by Brant Mensor. And it's a really,
I've seen that.
Yeah, I'm gonna be very honest here. I'm an avid book buyer, but not an avid book reader.
Yeah, I got piles everywhere.
So
I did.
And it's easy to read, and he's developing more and more, like he has more and more data now. There's a website that has more information. It's really good. It was very helpful to me. I know there's a lot of other books out there to help find your core value, but this one was good for me. It was very simple.
Gotcha. All right. So your biggest challenge recently with your new business and what's going on? What's your biggest challenge right now? I know, torn. You're torn.
Yeah, that's what we started with. I'm torn.
I want to know more about your company. Tell us more about your business.
So Athena's Voice, it is a speaking referral business that features, currently we have 9 female pilots, 8 of them are fighter pilots, and that shifts and changes who's on there, but it's basically, you can go on there and find a speaker that you're looking for. If you need help, then you reach out and the company will help you find that perfect speaker for your event. And if we don't have one, we'll find someone else, because I truly believe that it's important that you find the best fit, not just, make the business happen. But a lot of our speakers, we talk on, leadership, diversity, and inclusion. I speak almost specifically on perseverance, basically a no-quit mentality, that mission-focused mindset, and how to just keep going. There's lots of women on there. They all profiles, and you can go check it out at athenasvoiceusa.com.
So when did you start the company and why?
Well, what happened was, remember, my husband said I should go into speaking, and
we got that part. Check. Yay, husband.
Had no idea, like, how do I do this? And so I reached out to a friend who I knew was doing professional speaking. Her name is Heather Penny, and her and I said, how do I do this? How do I start? I'm at the bottom again. I got to figure all this out. And she said, you know what? There's a huge need. We need to start a business. And we basically started with female fighter pilots because we knew the kind of people they were. You give them a task, they're going to go at it full bore and they're going to make it happen. So we recruited some ladies there, and then we built a website with the idea of, we want to project that you can be powerful and beautiful at the same time, and get everybody out in the world, just kind of getting more women on the stage. Because, men get up on stage and talk to both men and women. We wanted to get more women up on stage, sharing our perspective, talking to both men and women. So although oftentimes we get pigeonholed into speaking to women, and we have a great, impact to that audience, and sometimes I think that's where I have my biggest influence, we still want to speak to both, because I think it matters, the perspective.
You know what? I'm sitting there thinking, of course that's the kind of company you would form, because not only do you present yourself well, but you, like you said, you want to highlight others. Like, I don't sense any sense of, oh, they could take that gig from me. It's almost like we want to empower everyone. We know what's going to be your fit. I know what's my fit. And the more that I can put out there and shine the light on every one of them, it must be so exciting for you to see that.
It's funny because there's a lot of people who talk about, you got to get the gigs, you got to get the gigs. And I'm like, I'd love the gigs, but the thing is, if I'm not the best match, first of all, I'm not going to push myself forward. And second of all, I'm so excited when I push a gig to one of these women and they get it. Love it. Their stories are so amazing. Sometimes it makes me think, wow, who am I? But we can't do that, right? So we all have. Somebody asked me once. They said, I told them I was going into professional speaking, and she said to me, "Why would people want to listen to you?"
No one would ever say that.
Yeah, she did. Well, because she was in the environment I was in. So
Gotcha.
But the bottom line is that you could be a server in a restaurant and you could have powerful stories to share with the world.
Absolutely.
It's true.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, I know we're running out of time, but I better get these questions in.
Oh.
All right. 3 kids.
Yeah.
Career. Is your husband heavily involved? How the heck are you doing it?
Oh, I think this comes down to a struggle I had really early on. I had to redefine motherhood for myself specifically. When I first had kids, I was like comparing myself to June Cleaver, cookies at the door when they come home from school, looking all nice and being at every event. But I think that the success that we have as a couple and as a family comes from defining what success is for us as parents and what do the roles look like. So I'm not going to judge myself if I'm not at every event my kid has, or I'm not, because I don't drive him to school every single day. You have to go, what works for us and what is success for our roles. And I think that's a huge thing. And plus my husband, he's just super supportive. So I'm blessed. Sure.
Yeah. Not that you can't do it as a single mom, because I have friends that do, but it does make it a lot easier when you have
Oh,
a partner.
my mom sometimes says, sometimes as a single mom, I think it's easier because then you don't have this other person telling you what to do and how you want to do it. But you know, it's a give and take. I would never say that it's easier. Don't quote me on that. I'm
No,
not saying, just
no.
saying. Like my mom was like, I appreciated not because my parents were divorced, not having that extra person.
Oh, that perspective. All right, what do you do for fun? What do you do in your spare time?
Oh, hanging out with my kids. We love sports. My kids are like into track and football and soccer, cross country and gymnastics. We're just always, that's what we do, sports. We spent the whole summer at the track, I think.
So it sounds to me that, like, to back up, your personality, you love being busy. Like, you love all the events. You love going to all the things on the weekends. It's not like you're going, oh God, I have to go to another freaking event. That's just who you are.
Right. I chose these things, right? So I'm going to be happy in them, and I'm not living for tomorrow or the weekend. I'm going to be in the moment. Like, why are we constantly doing that? Be here, be now. Like, have fun.
Yeah.
You can
What's your
do.
workout?
What's my workout?
Yeah, what do you do to work out?
Oh, I
And
love,
don't tell me you don't work out, because we're just going to all sit here and cry.
no, I love running, and I've been doing F45, which is HIIT for,
Oh yeah, that is fun.
I just love, what I love about it is the intensity. Can you imagine? It's
Yeah.
busy, right? Get it all
Yeah.
done, check the box, and it's a really good workout, and it's over.
Yeah. And you're doing it at your own level too. Like, here you are, you know.
And a pro athlete, and we're all good.
Okay, before we go, I want them to know every which way they can find you, either for the coaching or the speaking gigs.
Okay. So the best place to find me, honestly, is LinkedIn. Tammy
Okay.
Barlette. Not on LinkedIn. I am on Instagram, is Tam Barlette. I'm also on Facebook, Tammy Barlette. And then you can also connect me right through the website. So athenasvoiceusa.com,
Okay.
or you can email inspire@athenasvoiceusa.com.
Yeah. All right. Putting it out in the world, what do you want to do with your speaking gigs in the next year? Where do you want to go? What do you want to do?
My goal really is just to help lift more people up to feel accomplished and able to take on more, but have peace while they do it. So it's really just more about not me getting out there and doing a certain amount of gigs or certain places, but
Hmm.
just really making an impact. So when I think about, that part of my life, I want to make a positive long-term impact in people's lives. That's my goal.
Well, I feel like you're already doing it, and you'll even continue to grow big. Tammy, thank you. Thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. And people, I know, if you didn't get to see it all, the time doesn't work. Don't you worry, my head. I got something to say. I'm going to record this, and then we're going to put it on every social media site. And Tammy and I would both really appreciate you liking it and sharing it and rating it. And you know what I'm going to say? Until next time, thanks, Tammy, and toodles.
Thanks for having me.